Hi folks, just getting into March now, so it's about time we started sowing a few bits and pieces. So I'm just going to sow my leeks, some spring onions and the old shallots that are called zebrun. So I'm going to sow my leeks as usual in a big polystyrene box. It's about 3 times as deep as a normal seed tray, so it gives them lots of depth and plenty of room for them to grow. So I'm going to grow 2 different sorts this year. I'm going to grow the basic Musselburgh, and I'm going to grow a winter giant one, which may be a bit hardier than the Musselburgh, so they might stand over winter. So really all I've done is fill this box with some Jack's Magic compost. It's quite fine stuff, very fine stuff, so it's good to get things started off. And I'm just going to sprinkle a few of these seeds over the top of the half. I have to remember which is which. Not going to be too cute, probably sow about 50 or 60 in each half, and then when they start to germinate and grow on a bit, I'll thin them so there's about an inch apart each way, so then I'll probably get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 40 in each side, so that'll give me 80 leeks, so that's plenty. So I'll just do the little, these are giant, winter giant ones. Supposed to stand up to colder winters, so we'll see how they get on. I had a bit of a disaster last year with my leeks. I think I actually sowed them too early. I sowed them in February, and I think they got a bit cold early on, and a lot of them went to seed. So I've left it about 3 or 4 weeks later this year. So we'll see how we get on, because they were a bit of a disaster last year. Just remember which ones are which. And then all I'm going to do with these is just riddle a little bit of compost over, maybe half a centimetre or so. I'm not one of these who sows stuff really deeply. That'll be plenty. The compost was quite damp, so there's not much point in me watering it in, so I'll just give it a quick spray with one of these just to dampen the top off. If you use a watering can, you can end up sometimes washing your seeds back to the surface. So all I'll do with these, I'll just germinate them in the house in a little bit of warmth, not in a propagator or anything, just on a windowsill. And as soon as they start to germinate, I'll put them into the cold greenhouse. Maybe put a little bit of fleece on if we're going to get a lot of frost, but they're quite hardy, so it's no big deal really. So that's the leeks done. Couldn't be easier. So the zebrun, my favourite shallots of all time. In fact, I'll just go and nip and get you some shallots that I grew last year that I've still got stored this year. And I'll show you that's why I grow them. So I'll just show you some of the zebrun from last year that I've stored so far over winter. And this is the reason why I grow them. Because they store absolutely fantastically, not sprouting, none have gone rotten. And just look at the size of some of those, they're absolutely enormous. And they're so easy to grow. That's why I keep banging on about them, but honestly they're brilliant. Just put a little bit more compost in this riddle. Right, so all I'm going to do with the zebrun, bit out of breath for some reason, so what I've got this time is some 20 module half tray, so there's 40 in a seed tray. I'm just going to plant 1 seed in each one for now, because I've only got 1 packet of seeds and I don't think there's a great deal of seeds in each packet. It's probably about 100. And like I said, just 1 seed per module. They don't give you that many. That's why I need my glasses on, I can't see a thing. Well, there seems to be quite a lot. So like I said, just 1 in each one. If 2 fall in, it doesn't matter. Bit of a fiddly job. I'm putting 2 in some because it's a bit fiddly. I need one of those seed sowing devices that will sow 1 seed at a time. I should try one of those. And then what I'm going to do with these, again, just let them germinate in the house and then put them into the greenhouse once they start germinating. And I'll grow these on for 2 months, and I plant them out at the start of May, and then you harvest them at the end of July, sort of August. So there's only, you know, the 6 months growing time maximum, and then they'll store for a good 6 to 8 months over winter and give you a cracking crop. So like I said, if you haven't tried them before, just give them a go. They only produce 1 shallot per plant, obviously, unlike when you plant the bulbs, but they're massive and they store fantastically. So again, nothing fancy, just a little riddle, just to cover the seeds really, and that's it. Give them another quick spray. So I'm going to grow 80 of these, so I won't plant the others now, I won't bore you to tears. It couldn't be easier really, no big deal. So each one of those little tiny seeds there will turn into one giant shallot like that, hopefully. So all I do is put a little top on, a little propagator top, just to keep the moisture in. And then finally, I'm just going to sow a few spring onions. I like to get these set off quite early, because I found that when I grow them in direct sown into the soil and up my plot, they just never get going at all. So if you give them a little bit of a head start, I seem to be able to get 2 or 3 good crops a year. So what I do with these, instead of just planting one, I'm going to plant these in clumps of about 3, 4, 5. Just put a pinch of seeds in each one, 6 in that, and then let these grow on, and I'll plant them in clumps about 6 inches apart. So then what you can do is you can just harvest a whole clump at a time. It's a lot easier than pulling single ones up. But like I said, because I grow them earlier like this, set them off inside, they do seem to grow a heck of a lot better than direct sowing. I've always had a disaster doing it the normal way, should I say, outside. So I'm only going to do 20 little modules like that, with about 4 or 5 in each. That'll give 100 plants, 100 spring onions, so that's plenty for a first little batch. And again, when these are ready to plant out, just plant them out 6 inches apart. Bob's your uncle, really. So that's that. I'll just put a little bit more on top. So really, that's all I've got really going at the moment. Just a few alliums of different sorts. Time to get the garlic out outside, but it's still covered in snow, so I'll do that as soon as it warms up a little bit. And that's it really. I'll just give you a quick look at my onions. The giant onions upstairs. Oh, it's a bit of a disaster because with this gale force winds we had with the snow, my polytunnel got absolutely ripped to shreds. I had a tear in it about that wide. There was a big flap off, so I've managed to bodge it together with some tape. But I'm just hoping it'll stand this season taped up, because the onions will be ready to go out in about a week, 4 weeks time. And it's just be a disaster, I've nowhere to put them. So anyway, we'll have a quick look at the big onions, and then I'll show you a little video of a fox eating some voles in our field. See you in a minute. Well, hi folks, here are the onions, doing absolutely brilliantly still. I've redone all the sort of strapping, so open them up, give them a little bit more space. Put my hand in, I'll show you the size of them. So they're doing really well. There's 6 still growing. I've got the lights on them still. So far so good. Just hope I can fix my polytunnel, then I can give them somewhere to grow. There's always something comes along to try and mess up your year, but like I said, so far so good. Planted a few little Joe's long chilies there, if you can see, they've all come up. And some of the giant carrots over there, you probably can't see. But anyway, so far so good. Doing really well. Another 4 weeks in here and they should be ready to go out into the polytunnel, into the big pots, and we'll see how we get on. So that's about it. A few bits of sowing, giant onion update, and now I'll show you this my little pet fox killing some of the pesky little voles that have been eating my plants.